In this last subsection of shoulders, we're having a look at obstacles to be found along the shoulder section of the road. In discussing the shoulder, I'm including any parking area that's adjacent to a lane on the roadway. Because of its proximity to the lanes, it can be a hazardous area. So if a driver is not paying attention, is distracted in some way, veers off its path, it's very easy for such a driver then to collide with any vehicles that are parked along the shoulder section of the road. That's what's demonstrated in this animation. So just a slight angle in the path and connects with the vehicle. Here we see it taking place on the opposite side of the road. A driver not sticking to the lane has veered off somewhat and collides with the vehicle's opposite. As with any vehicles parked along the side of the road, pedestrians likewise need to be especially cautious, not just assume that drivers will continue to stick to the roadway, but could very easily veer off to the shoulder section, as happens here. This is the same scenario, just from a different camera angle. So looking at it from the opposite side of the road. Just highlighting the point once again, never to assume that because you're on the side of the road that you're safe. Drivers may not be paying attention. If you, for any reason, need to park along the shoulder section, then try to make sure that you're well clear off the roadway. We see this truck is just on the verge or the edge of the shoulder section, so too close to any vehicles coming past. In this case, there was still some space for the truck to safely pull off further from the roadway. And in fact, as a driver, if he had probably pulled off into this area, he would have still had the lamppost to protect him should any vehicles veer off the main lanes into the shoulder section. This particular clip highlights a very important hazard because this takes place at speed. And you'll see in a number of clips throughout the course where a vehicle changes lane and at the last second in doing so doesn't have visibility of what lies ahead of the vehicle that's directly in its path. So here we see a vehicle coming up from behind at speed, suddenly changing lane, only to find that there's a vehicle in the shoulder section of the road. And so this happens time and time again. So have a look out for this. Vehicle coming along the right side in the lane. He's coming up at speed and doesn't want to slow down, pulls out into the shoulder section only to find that there is a vehicle there. What this clip is showing is once again an obstacle to be found on the shoulder section, but there's something else I want to highlight in the clip. So the vehicle swerves, goes onto the shoulder, and in fact right onto the sidewalk, collides with this pole, power line. We see just as the camera moves past that the pole falls over, and so we've got dangers then from electrical cables that add to the hazard. So there you see the cables are downed. So we've got to be very careful because along the shoulder section may be even within the shoulder itself of the roadway could be any poles or other obstacles. I've included this clip because the vehicle on the left side collides with these barriers as it moves over into the shoulder section. But why I've included this clip is that it's not just a hazard now after the collision with the barriers to the driver who's the cause of the incident, but actually displaces these barriers into the path and the roadway of other vehicles. This clip I've included because we have a driver on the right side here, but driving very close to the cars that are parked on the shoulder section. And there we go. We see that because it's driving with such minimal tolerance between itself and the vehicles that are parked, it actually catches a vehicle that's jutting out slightly into the roadway. When we're parking, I always try and make sure that I'm parked well off the side of the road, and if there are any vehicles behind me, that I'm actually within the line of the vehicle that's jutting out most into the roadway. In other words, I make sure that my vehicle's not jutting out into the roadway, but I try to be even on the other side of the furthest line of vehicles that may be caught by any other vehicles, such as demonstrated in this case. Please like, subscribe, and get notified.